Good morning. Turning you to my phone, turn the ringer off. Good morning, Facebook family and friends. Today is January the 11th, 2025, and this is Saturday morning with Dr. Mama Rosie Thompson. So happy to be here with you again. I want to say first and foremost, as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be live with me. And for those of you who may watch this video later on either Facebook or YouTube, God bless you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I hope that something is said or done that will bless you or that will help you to get to the place that you want to be as you continue to become whole and authentic. Today, after missing last week, as I said to the people who joined on yesterday, that I was supposed to be on last week, but then I had some tests that need to be taken care of, so I wasn't able to join. But I'm really, really excited and thankful to be back today. And since we are starting together here in the new year, we're going to talk about the 6 stages of personal transformation. And there is one stage that I definitely want to cover, and it's called the neutral stage. Many of us have gone through some of these talks with me, and we've talked about how do we become whole and authentic. And some of us have made some changes in our lives, have done some things to help us to become better, to pay attention to what we're thinking, and to make sure that our thinking does not take our actions somewhere we don't want it to go. And so we have taken an in-depth look into ourselves, a lot of us have. And we decide, sometime I remember before many times when people used to have those New Year's resolutions, but according to Forbes Health, a lot of people, even though people would make these resolutions, I don't make resolutions, but I do always try and look at my life and see what is it that I want to be different, how I want to change, things that I want to be better uh, in my life and with me as well. So, according to Forbes Health said that resolutions, people make them and we come up with these things that we want to do. We want to be better. We want to change this in our lives, but we don't, sometimes they're not sustained. We don't keep up with it. We'll start to do them and we end up not doing them. So we want to talk a little bit today about those stages, because it will help us to understand what happens when we get to that stage. Okay, I start making these changes. I'm excited about this weight loss journey that I'm on. I'm working out every day, and then all of a sudden I'm not. Or I'm eating right, then all of a sudden I'm not. So when I get to this neutral stage, it can be called a neutral stage. What happens when I get there? So actually, according to Forbes, 8% of people who make resolutions only keep them for 1 month. That's just 8%. 21, almost 22% will keep them for 2 months. A little over 22% will keep them for 3 months. And then 13% will keep their resolution there, their weight loss plan or whatever they have going on, for 4 months. But when it gets more than 4 months, only 1% will actually keep that resolution or keep that plan and that goal for an entire year, for 11 to 12 months. The reason why they said that they didn't keep them when they did this study, when Forbes did this study, 35% of the people said that they were not motivated. They started it, they were motivated at first, they really wanted to look at it, it was something they felt they needed to do, but then all of a sudden they wasn't motivated anymore. 19% said that they were too busy. They just got, so many things in life. Life continues to happen. Even when we decide that we're going to do something different, when we decide on changes in our life doesn't stop. It doesn't stop for me to lose weight. It doesn't stop for me to save money. Life doesn't stop. These bills are still going to come through. Things are going to happen in our lives, and that's continuously. So when we make a plan to do something different, we have to be mindful that those things are still going to be going on. And then 18% of the people who had started these resolutions decided that, that's not a priority anymore. I got something I need to do first, something I need to do that's more important. I need to take care of this. So then people just don't sustain them. Many of us have learned a lot in the past year, especially on being on here and becoming whole and authentic. But what does it take to stick to the changes that we make? What does it take if we decide that a change is something that we really, really need to do? What does it take to stick to that? Okay. Transformation does not just happen because we want it to happen. It takes more than that. So it's not just because, okay, I see something in my life, I want it to be this way. It's not going to happen just because I want it to happen. That's almost like the person who's that's waiting for a job and never go look or never go online to search or never ask a friend or if they're hiring. That's almost the same thing. If you want to, there's something that we have to do, but we want to be mindful to a point that we don't want to. When it doesn't happen the way we want, we don't want to be discouraged. As with everything in life, we have to define the transformation that we desire. We define it. Many of us have already defined some transformation that we want in our lives. And then when we do and we get ready to implement it, we have to manage that transformation. We have to manage it. We have to look at it. Sometimes we need to make changes in it. And we also have to sustain the transformation. So we're going to today talk about the 6 stages of our transformation. If you go online and start to look, you'll find that some people say there are 6, some people say there are more than 6. But today we're going to talk about the 6 stages. That's what we're talking about, the 6 stages of transformation. So when we break down our transformation process, it can help us to see where we've been. That before we can do anything, we got to know there's a reason for us even wanting to change, because we look back at our life, we look where we've been, and it's important that we know where we are. We do not want to start out trying to go someplace when we don't already know where we are, and then it helps us to know where we're going. So we need to know where we've been. We need to look at that. That's important. That's why we have history. That's why we have past. It helps us to where we can look back and say, okay, this didn't work last time, and I see where I am today. And I need to know where I'm headed, where it is that I want to go. So the 6 stages that we're going to mention are they're realize, release, rebound, reinvent, resurrect, and respond. So today we're talking about realize, release, rebound, reinvent, resurrect, and respond. Keep in mind, though, as we talk today, that like with everything in life, there's a cycle and it's in constant motion. Think about that. This is the same process. This is the same process every time a life change is expected. So these things we go through every time something changes in our lives. We may not pay attention to them, we may not realize them, but these are the same things that we go through, same process we go through every time there's a change in our lives. You may be in the reinventing phase one week and realize phase the next. So it's not like you got to go from realize, we're going to talk about these. These are the stages, but you may go from stage 4 back to stage 1. That's life. We don't want to get discouraged because I found myself and I thought I had accomplished this. I thought I had gotten to the end of this, and I find myself back in the same place because life changes. This is a cycle. It's going to constant motion. Cycle that in constant motion. Okay. You may be, like I said, you may be in reinventing phase 1 week and realize the next week. You are constantly experiencing at least one or all of these phases at any given time throughout your life and on multiple levels. Learning to manage the process is key. This is what's going to be important for us as we get to making those changes that we want in our lives, those things that we've talked about. Think of it as like a spiral, the spiral staircase. Each step is another stage of transformation. Each step you take gets you closer to the next level of understanding. And each level we get to takes us closer to our goals on being in what we want to do. And this is our personal approach to transformation. This is the first step, our stage of transformation in our personal life is to realize. This is the aha moment. This is when we realize, oh, okay. Aha, this is called the aha moment. The moment when you become acutely aware of the need for something to change. You can become acutely aware of it. It can be a new realization about yourself or about any relationship that you're in life. It is the realization where a new and improved version of you, of who we are, and what we expect out of our lives began to develop. We began to see, I'm doing this and this is where I'm at, but this is not what I'm expecting. This is not what I'm wanting in my life. This is that aha moment. We become self-aware of the change happening in our own personal, evolution or growth. And that's about to take place. So this is that moment when we realize that something has to happen. This is where we are in our life. And so it's the realization stage. It's where we have a mental shift. And we move from denying and complacency to acknowledging the need for change and the potential benefits of having that transformation in our lives. So we move from saying, "Oh, that's okay." We know this stuff is not okay. Things that bother us, it's not okay. And things that's affecting us, and we have gotten to a place where we, oh, it's okay. Oh, it doesn't kill me. Do you want it to kill you? Does it have to get to a place to kill you before you decide to do something about it? We don't want to have to get in a place where it has to kill us. If it's bothering me, it's bothering me. If it's affecting me, it's affecting me. The same with you. So it's where we get to that mental shift, and we stop moving from, okay, I'm just going to sit here and be in this, or we're moving from that place of complacency, or from denying to acknowledging there's a need to change. I need to change the fact that I allowed this to happen in my life. And that we always want to put it on us. When we decide we need to change, we can't change other people. We've said this so many times. So let's say that Jerry, not you, Jeremiah. Now I pick another. Let's say, now can you mark you? Let's say Jimmy. I don't know Jimmy. Okay, yes, I do know Jimmy. Let's say Jerry. Anybody. It's always borrowing money. Always borrowing money, never paying me back. Okay, I need to change. I need to stop. Every time I look around, they borrowing money from me. They need to stop. Not they need to stop. They can come to you anytime they want. What needs to happen is you need to make some changes in your life to stop them, to make that. What are you doing about it? So people can come to us. People can say stuff. We sometimes get tired of people coming to us with things and doing things, but because we don't want to be the one to change it. We have to take control over our own life. If you don't like that Rosie keep coming to you with something, then you need to set you some boundaries and stop it from happening to you. Just like if I come to your house uninvited and then you tell me, Rosie, you keep coming over here uninvited. You keep coming over here without calling me. And if you continue to do that, that's what a boundary is. You communicated with me, Rosie. If you continue to come to my house uninvited, I'm not going to answer the door. So we have to have a reasonable expectation, a reasonable consequence when somebody continue to do things in our life that we don't want done in our life. So one day, you told me over and over, and I continue to do it. If one day you don't answer that door, it's a reminder to me, Rosie, I told you not to come like that. Call me before you come. That's nothing wrong with that. But unless you just want to do that, if you cool with having people come in all the time and doing that, that's you. But for me and for those of us who are trying to change in different ways, those are the things that I look at. In this stage, we become aware, and we began to recognize our personal limitations. We began to recognize those areas, those patterns that are problematic. These are the things that keep happening over and over. I see this pattern. I see where I need growth in this area. I see that I keep allowing this in my life. I keep allowing it, and it's problematic for me. I keep allowing it, and there's certain things we can't do anything about it. Now, that person who we have to realize too our personal limitations, because that very same person who don't want people to come to their house uninvited, if you have a health concern, you may want people to come and check on you. So it's all personal. One size does not fit all. When we look at this stuff, you want to look at it and see what applies to you. Everything that I say for me does not apply to you. Everything that you say may not apply to me. So we have to really look at it and see, that's what will this part apply to me? Will this part help me? What would this do if I change this? We want to make sure that we make growth unique to our needs. So this stage involves recognizing that a significant some type of change is needed. And sometimes this can be triggered, this recognize this self-awareness can be triggered by our own personal experience. It can be triggered by feedback. Rosie, you keep spending your money on things that you're not even using, but then you coming to me to pay your bill. So that could be a personal, that my experience, or somebody even saying that to me. Whoever I'm going to keep borrowing money, whoever I'm going to tell them my light need to be paid. The external feedback can make me aware that, okay, you're doing this, but maybe sometimes people do things and people are not aware. People are not self-aware all the time. It can also be a growing sense of dissatisfaction with our current state. I just don't like this. I know I can do better. I know I can be better. I know there's growth potential in me. There's so much more that I can do. There's so much more I want to do. So I'm just dissatisfied with this current state. So that's where that realization stage is too, where I become aware that this is not good enough for me. And we say, I'm better than that. I deserve more than that. It could also be an internal shift. It can be a mental shift that occurs when a person began to question their own existence, their own patterns, their own visions for to a better future for themselves. We began to see ourselves, like I just said, I know that I can do better than this. It can be an internal shift in us. We now envision a future outlining our desired outcome and goal. We now began to see, no, this is what I want. Began to see that in our mind. It can be motivational building. This stage is also crucial as it sparks the initial motivation to move forward. So when we get to this realization stage, this is going to spark the motivation for us to actually do something different, for us to move forward in the transformation process. And it's also the stage that is sometimes considered the contemplation stage, where many of us will weigh the pros and cons of the changes that we are considering before we commit ourselves to any action. We're looking at it, we're contemplating, okay, if I do this, what can I expect the outcome to be? If I do that, how's that going to affect my life? How's that going to affect my family? How's that going to affect, my relationship? So this is also can be known as the contemplation stage. If we decide, once we realize that's a change, we want to change in our lives, then we can go to the next stage. And the next stage is stage 2, which is release. The release stage is when we actually begin releasing those external components of our lives that no longer serve us. Oftentimes, we want to think that if there are some external components, let's see, how can I say it? Okay. I got weight. I'm weighted. I'm weighted. I got so many things that I'm carrying. So many things that I'm carrying. But I find that the remote control does not really serve me, but I'm still carrying it. And I'm also carrying this thing here, the glass case. But I realize that I don't really need to carry this glass cage, the glasses cage all the time. Lay it aside. We began to release those things that are no longer serving us. So I don't need the remote because I don't need the light. I realize that this external component, I don't need to carry it all the time because I already have a pair that I need, or maybe I've had LASIK surgery. So I don't need to carry that. Then we began the releases when we start taking off those things that's not inside of us, those external things that we carry that don't serve us. They're not serving us a purpose. We start to leave behind that emotional baggage, mostly caused by former relationships, by disappointments, by being upset about something. We start to release those things, that emotional baggage that we carry because somebody hurt us, because somebody did that, whatever they did, that emotional baggage. Even if somebody in the past was good to you, and that's still past, whatever it is, that emotional stuff from the past, holding on to it, and today will not help us. So we began to release those external components of that emotional baggage that's caused by, former relationships, that's caused by disappointment, that's caused by upsets. This stage is very important because we have to first let go of the unhealthy habits. That's what it forces us to do. The release forces us to first let go of the unhealthy things, our patterns of thinking and beliefs. In order to create space, we need space to invent new things. We're going to touch on that a little bit more. But if the glass is full, nothing else can get in. If the cup is full, nothing else can get in. So when we're starting to thinking about how can we change, if we're already full of stuff, where's it going to go? If you still already carrying that emotional baggage, if your hands are already full with all the things I had in my hand, where is the new going to come in at? I don't have space for the new, especially if the new that I'm looking for is something big. With all these things that I was holding in my hand, with all of these things that I can pick up and hold in my hand, where is the other going to go? I need to release some of this in order to take on what the new things that I want to change in my life. So the stage is very important because we first have to let go of those unhealthy things, those patterns of thinking and beliefs in order to create space to reinvent ourselves. That's what we're doing. We're becoming whole and authentic. We're reinventing ourselves. This stage involves actively detaching from those negative habits, from those toxic relationships, from those beliefs that limit us. and other aspects that hinder our personal growth. So it involves detaching from negative habits, from the toxic relationships, from those beliefs that limit us, and anything else that hinders our personal growth. We have to detach. Stage two is also the emotional processing stage. It may require confronting and processing emotions associated with those old patterns to truly release them. We sometimes have to confront the emotional. Anytime we have a relationship, anytime we have a belief in our lives, anytime we have a habit in our life, it comes with emotions. So let's say that when every time you know how they talk about eating when you get bored or lonely or whatever, that's an emotion that you have attached to that eating. So you can how you gonna stop eating, binge eating. But what are you going to do about the emotions? You can't leave part of it out. We don't want to leave. You can't leave part of it out. You can't say, well, I'm not going to eat. Then when you get to be depressed again, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So that's why people binge eat. That's why people do those things, because there's some emotions attached to those habits that we have. This is, like I said, this is the emotional stage where we have to process and confront those emotions that's related to those patterns, and then we try to release them. And we have to truly try to release them. Remember that releasing the old makes room for the new behavior. It's going to make room for the new perspective and choices that align with our desired transformation. We can't take part of it away without looking at the whole thing to find out what is it causing it, what can I do, how can I release it. And then after that, after we realize, we start to release things, and we get to the next stage, which is called the rebound stage. This is the phase in which we nurture our mind, our body, and our spirit by allowing time to process the changes so that we can ease into the integration of this new level of transformation. We don't want to start to rebound. When people in relationships and they get out of one to go into another, they say they're on the rebound. That's because it went too fast. We never process. So what they're actually looking for is the person who's gone in you, and that never works, because we're all so different. We're all so unique. We're all so wonderful. So that's what they talk about when they talk about the rebound. So with this rebound phase is when you nurture. You need to nurture our mind, our body, our spirit. If you never had time by yourself, you need to spend that time to really go through the motion. Okay, get to the point where you can release that old before you can get to some new. So this stage is the rebound stage. Okay, when we began to nurture. Okay, now I've taken off this out of my life. Person who decided that they were going to become a vegetarian. I've taken off eating. I mean meat. I don't eat meat anymore. I stopped yesterday. And I need that time to nurture my body, to nurture my mind, to nurture my spirit, and allow time to process it, because as you stop doing things, your body's going to react to that. That's, like withdrawal symptoms, you're going to get withdrawal symptoms. You're going to crave things. I remember we were one time at the church, and we were on a 40-day fast, fruits and vegetables for 40 days. I started craving things I didn't even eat before. I didn't even eat McDonald's, and I wanted some McDonald's so bad. Your body gonna start to do things. So when we get to this stage, we want to take our time, nurture our body. We want to nurture our mind, nurture our spirit. We want to pay attention so we can get ready to ease into this next level. The rebound stage refers to the period following a significant change, where a person focuses on their healing, focus on their processing their emotions, gradually integrating the new aspects of themselves into their life. Essentially, it's like bouncing back from the initial disruption before moving into that future growth. It's a period we think about. We want to stabilize after a period of significant change. We need to stabilize, allow time for reflection, adjustment to the new situation. Before you can get into a new situation, a new relationship, first of all, you need to take time to stabilize yourself from that last one. Before you get into that new change, you need to stabilize yourself from that last one. If you went into a job and it was really a hostile work environment, if you don't stabilize yourself before you go to that new job, you're going to take that tension you felt from that hostile work environment into this new position. But you go into a new position, you got all new people, and you're trying to adjust to them, but you're still carrying that weight from the other. So we need to stabilize ourselves after a significant change in our lives. And focus on self-care. This stage also involves prioritizing your physical and mental well-being. Like, try to relax, do some type of techniques, maybe some healthy eating, and some supportive relationships. Even as I always say, even therapy, whatever it takes to get us to this place where we can take care of ourselves. And as with before, it takes some emotional processing. Even individuals may still experience lingering emotions from the initial change. You still may be but even though I was in a toxic relationship, I really loved working with Sally. We were good friends. We went to lunch every day. We went out sometimes. She came to my house. I babysat for her. So there's some emotions attached to that as well. So we need to experience. You may experience some emotions from the initial change, but they are actively working through them. But you have to work through them in a healthy way. You don't want to just do things, because you can bring her into your new relationship, to your new job, and with all the stuff that's going on, sometimes you may not be able to take the conversation from all of that stuff. You're trying to let it go, and she's still in it. So it's a lot to be thought about. It's a lot to go through when we're making transformations. And then we get to prepare for this new growth. In this stage, we're preparing for this new me. This rebound stage sets the foundation for future transformations by allowing us to solidify new perspectives and behavior before taking on any additional changes. So that's what the rebound gives us, this time to, even before we even take on any additional changes, where we can really find where we are. Because we said before, we know where we've been, we have to know where we are. Before we can go any place, we need to know where we are. It wouldn't make sense for me to call Uber to try to get to some place and can't tell them where I am. We need to know where we are, because knowing where you are, even with a cab, it makes a lot of difference. You know that if where I'm going is only 20 miles away, it shouldn't take us 5 hours to get there. You need to know all of the details of anything before you just start to make a change. Where am I? And then where am I want to go? Sometimes we start at where we want to go without looking at where we are. And your past, unless you have gotten to a place where you're able to release your past is still going to be there. It's still going to be there. And before I go to 7, I see that we have some comments, and we do have some people viewing. Thank you so much. Good morning, Joyce. I love you. Thank you for watching. Good morning, Goo. Thank you for watching. And Sakani, that's my beautiful sister Elaine. But I love you, Lady Kiva. We're praying for you continuously. And Mama Dorothy, that's my mother in love. Always will be. That's my mother in love. And I love you, Mama Dorothy. And Nikita, my niece, I thank you so much for joining. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and be with me this morning. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Okay. Then we go to the next stage. The next stage, no, let's talk about the rebound a little bit more, because I want to talk to you about this. When we get to this rebound stage, this is the stage that's sometimes referred to as the neutral stage. The neutral stage was developed by a man named William Bridges. He was a renowned change management expert. And in the 1970s, he came up with this stage. And Bridges say that there are 3 phases to transitioning. And it's actually the truth, but he didn't go into detail as we're going into detail. He said that there's the ending stage, which for us is stage 1 and 2. Then he said the neutral stage, where we just talked about the rebound stage. And then he said the beginning stage, where we began our new person. So the neutral stage, he said, is the period between the old and the new. Before we can go into any new, there's a period there. We decide we're going to do something. We decide that I see this, I've come to the realization that this is something that I don't want in my life. I've gone through stage 1, I've gone through stage 2, I'm taking off. Now I'm at this new stage. I'm at this stage between the old and the new. I may feel like confused a little bit. You may begin to feel impatient. Okay, I've taken off this. What am I going to do? Things are not moving as fast as we would like. Sometimes we can, we can feel that it's just not working. I don't know. This is the stage sometimes where people will go back into the old because they're at this neutral stage and it doesn't seem like things are moving. Doesn't seem like things are moving. Doesn't seem like they're trying to get where they want to be. But be patient when you get here. If you're in a neutral stage between what you've let go and where you're trying to go, and you're finding yourself feel like you're impatient, or you're feeling a little bit confused, or you're feeling a little bit distressed about it, be patient with yourself. Recognize that this phase is a natural part rather of the transition process. Give yourself time to adjust. That's what this stage is. This is the mid stage. Give yourself time to adjust. You've taken off some emotional things that you've let go. You've taken off some relationships that you had to let go. Give yourself time. Be patient with yourself. Stay flexible and be open minded. Be open minded to new ideas and new experiences. Be willing to adapt. To adapt your plans, to be willing to adapt if your plans need to change. You remember I told you when I was living in the house and I was sitting there and I was by myself a lot. I'm still by myself a lot. Doesn't seem like it to people, but I am. I was at the house and I was like, I don't have a lot of friends. I'm here by myself all the time. And then it came to me that there's a million people out here in this world. If you're by yourself, you chose to be by yourself. What are you going to do about it? So I decided, let me go meet people. And I didn't do it I wasn't intentionally going out saying, I'm going to meet these people. I just put myself in a place to meet people. I opened myself up to a place where people came into my life. We don't have to, whatever we are feeling, if we're feeling lonely, if we're feeling like we don't have people in our life, open ourselves up to allow it. Be open to the new idea. Be open to the new experiences. I love R&B. I love Motown. I've heard some great bands that play some music that I had never listened to before. But I've had some great time, and mostly with friends that I didn't know before. So that's what it makes it so wonderful when we allow ourselves to open up. It's in this stage, it's easy to feel restless. It's easy to feel impatient, wanting to do something and imagining that nothing is happening. It's easy to feel that way when you get to this stage. But that's not the case. That's not so. There's a lot going on, but it's going on inside like this cocoon. It may not look like it from the outside, but the being who is there is transforming from one kind of a creature, a person, into an entirely different person. Transforming myself from being at that house, thinking of the loneliness, feeling the loneliness, working in the loneliness, to being this person who's now outgoing, having fun, doing things. His body literally, what's happening is that old body is literally digesting itself, turning into that caterpillar soup, if you would. And it's releasing what's called imaginal cells, which create the whole new body. So these cells I'm transforming into this different person. I'm transforming into this more open person. I'm transforming into this person where before I had a problem with, I didn't understand why people did certain things, but accepting people where they are and knowing that everybody's not me. Everybody will not do things the way I do it. I don't have to understand what you do to respect what you do. I don't have to agree with everything that you do to respect what you do. So even to learn that process with me, it takes time. So know that when you get in this neutral stage, it may seem like that's happening, but it's not so. There's something happening. It's not that you're stagnant. It's not that you're standing still. It's almost like being pregnant for 9 months. And that embryo inside of you is shifting into the baby. And it's becoming to the highest order that it could ever be when it becomes a person. We're in a sense, the same shape shifting, and this stage is carrying us into the characteristic knowledge, rather, needed to make the radical change that we seek. So we're blooming from the inside. The waiting may find you prowling, you're like going back and forth. This stuff is not working back and forth, kind of like a caged animal. But your circumstances need not to be readjusted. Need time rather to readjust inside as well as outside. Anytime you're doing something, you need an adjustment period, and especially when you're in a job, something that you've been in, when you're in a job, or when you're in like a relationship. When it comes to those things that are huge things, or you're in a mindset or a belief where you're changing in those areas, you're going to need time to readjust inside and out. You don't want to rush into anything to try to do something differently if you're not readjusted, if you haven't adjusted to where you were. Remember one thing about waiting. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. I'm just going to sit right here and wait. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. But you want to be actively patient. You want to become like a student of waiting. Watching. When you're waiting, you should also be watching. You should be allowing, receiving, listening. Feel what you feel without looking for a fix. We want to fix everything. We want to fix it now. Guilty as charged. We want to fix it now. We don't want things to be this way. We want to change it now. Open yourself up to the unexpected. You and that's not a one size fit all, and that's hard sometimes for people like me. It was hard for me to open myself up and just allow whatever happened to happen. Just be prepared that it may happen. But when I hope I say this correctly. When we get to a place where if we're looking for something bad to happen, it puts us in this it makes us kind of bowed up. We get to this place where we're not open, we're not relaxed, we're kind of tense. It puts us in a stage of being tense. We're expecting the bad to happen. Now, let's say this. The weatherman said that, hypothetically, that we're gonna get 7 inches of snow tomorrow. Oh my God, it's gonna be so much snow out there. Ooh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I was thinking I ain't going to church tomorrow. We've already made plans not to do things. We've already changed our plans because of what we heard. But you wake up tomorrow, oh, it passed by us and went the other way. We didn't get 7 inches like we thought. We got a dusting. Think about all the time our mind has been on that thing before it even happened. So when we open ourselves up to the unexpected, where the weatherman said that we're supposed to get 7 inches of snow tomorrow, and leave it right there. But be prepared, if it does get 7 inches, you still don't have to go outside. But if it doesn't get to 7, you can still go outside. So we put ourselves there. We don't want to get so tensed in what we're doing until we're unable to relax and unable to experience the unexpected. We want to get to a place where we don't have to feel that we have to control everything. Let it be. Sometimes when I first start to walk over here, and because I want to know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to run into. I don't know this. We don't have to know everything. So what I would start to do to make myself get to a place where I could open myself up a little bit more, walk 3 blocks in that direction, turn left, and I walk until I see a blue car. If I hear the music, then I turn right. Do some fun stuff. Do some silly things. Allow yourself to be silly. Allow yourself to be okay. Allow yourself to not to try to hold on and manage everything. We don't have to, because it push your mind. You'll be able to live in a state of freedom. I love you, Shakada. I love you. Hey, Jim, love you. Thank you for joining. But you let yourself go. So walk those 3 blocks. So what? Like anything that you do. It doesn't have to be finished. You don't have to finish it today. If it's not mandatory that you got to, you don't have to. Try to relax. Open yourself up to the unexpected. We try to do things because if this may happen, it may not. The lack of a kind of fruitful emptiness can make it hard for our new beginning to reach us. We have to open ourselves, and we want to have a fruitful emptiness. Okay. If we don't have a fruitful emptiness inside of us, the new us will have a hard time getting through because there's nothing but business signals. Everywhere that new me want to turn, there's a big business signal. Well, I know I should have let that go, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feeling, so I'm busy over here. I'm trying to work it out. So I can't let the new come in over here because I'm still trying to do something. There's a business signal. Sometimes we have to have a fruitful emptiness inside of us to allow our new beginning to come through in us, to allow that new beginning to come through. Okay? And then once we're comfortable with our neutral stage, I've analyzed it, I know where I am, I'm ready now to reinvent myself. Stage 4 is to reinvent. And this is the self-focused phase where you begin to make new choices that are aligned with the self-realized version of vision in the first phase. So I realized who I was. I saw it in my first phase. This is what I came to the realization of. Now it's time to invent it. Don't skip stages 2 and 3. Sometimes we go from realizing to trying to reinvent, and we skip over and we find that things does not work out for us. Don't skip stages 2 and 3. Take your time. Take your time. Let me go back again because I want to go back and tell you again. Take stages 2 and 3. Don't skip them. We realize, we release, we rebound before we try and reinvent. Don't skip those stages, trying to reinvent yourself when you haven't done anything about those other. Don't do that. We don't want to skip. Okay. Oops. Okay. Let me go back to my slide. Wait, before we say reinvent though, when we when we when we are doing in a neutral state, we want to set some short-term goals. Don't try to do something big all this time. Break down the more, like your more significant transitions into smaller, more manageable steps. Don't feel that you have to do it all. Don't feel like you got to get it all done. Smaller steps will help us to feel a little like feel a sense of progress and accomplishment because you're able to do the smaller steps a little bit, faster. Even though when you're uncertain, when you're comfortable with the rebound phase, then you go to the reinvent. This is the self-focused phase where you began making the new choices that are aligned with the new self, realized vision person you saw in the realized stage. It's the empty space. It's the empty space that begins to be filled with new choices, with new behavior, with new habits that are purposeful and that are productive. You began to fill them. Remember now, you have to have space. If you've already full of stuff, there's no place for the new choices. There's no place for the new behavior. And trying to take them on in addition to that other one can be detrimental. You definitely don't want to do that. In this stage, we seek to actively create a new version of ourselves. We make significant changes to our identity, to our behavior, and to our approach. This stage involves actively taking steps to embody the new vision, develop new habits, making decisions that align with the desired transformation. This is what this is about. This is the stage where we need to embrace the changes, be willing to step outside of our comfort zone, and fully embrace the necessary changes to achieve the desired reinvention. I want to be this person. I know that this is who I was created to be. I know that I can do this. We have to be willing to step outside of our comfort zone. I remember when I was I have been a people pleaser for a long time, and when somebody would say something to me, I would listen to what they say, and no matter what I had in my mind, it would just go whatever, just disappear. Because I've moved on from what I thought to what they say, and I remember I think it was the first time, and I was at work. And I was getting ready to go back to school for my bachelor's. Really, I was going to get my bachelor's, and when I went to get the bachelor's, I told you, I think I told you before that I went to get the bachelor's, and senior management, they were paying 80%, and I was having a hard time, not really hard time, but my manager wasn't approving me to go to school, and so my senior management decided that they were going to pay 100% for me, and I went back and got my dual master's, a bachelor's and master's. When I did that, and people that we used to said it that we used to call it the Vegas table, because we used to talk crazy and do things, and what was done at the Vegas table stayed at the Vegas table. So we used to be the Vegas table, and I was telling the Vegas table that I went back to school, and one day I told him one day that I was going to retire. He's like, "Why would you go get a master's degree to retire?" And I remember the time that if somebody had said that to me, I would have thought it made no sense to go back to school when I knew I wasn't going to be working. But I didn't go get a master's degree. And I knew that before he even said it. I didn't go get a master's degree to keep working at that place. I did not go get a master's degree to keep working there. I was already doing the work. I didn't need a master's to do what I was doing. I went for a master's degree for multiple reasons. I went for a master's degree because I wanted my family, those younger than me, to know that it was never too late to be better. It was never too late for them to grow, that they could do all those things. That's why I went for my doctorate degree. I didn't need a doctorate degree to do what I was doing. I went got it because I wanted to be one of the first in our family, to go get a doctorate degree, to lead the way for those that's younger than me, and not only those in my family, but all the other young people who would look up to me, and those who talk to me, and those who respect me. To know you can be anything you want to be. That's why I do the things I do. I go above and beyond things that I wouldn't have never done for myself, but it's me now that I made this change to reinvent myself, not to just do what I want, but I'm also looking to make this world a better place in any little area that I can. So this is the stage when we in the reinvent, when we step outside of our comfort zone and we fully embrace the necessary changes needed to achieve the desired reinvention of ourselves. Be prepared for continuous learning and adaptation. You got to be prepared when we don't get to a point where you're no longer learning, where you're no longer adapting. Try not to get to a place where you just become stagnant and all we do is sit down and watch a movie. Watch a movie if you want, but never get to, you don't want to get to a place where you're not learning. As we become whole and authentic and we become all we can be, we have to continue to learn. We have to continue to adapt. Sometimes we have to make changes. Make ongoing self-assessments and adjustment to the new behavior and approaches as necessary as needed to fully integrate the transformation. So you got to look at yourself, pay attention. Do these self-assessment. Is this getting me where I want to go? Do I see myself? I love what I do today. You want to be to a place where you love what you do, where you love your life, where you're excited about your life, where you're excited about getting up every day. You don't want to get to a place where a day is just another day. It's more than just another day. It's another opportunity. This is the stage when someone, for example, who's trying to improve their health might enter this reinvent stage, and they may start adopting new exercise routine, changing their diet. They start to manage their stress. So this is that stage when you start to actually doing things like that. And then the stage 5 is resurrect. This is when you began to rise above the obstacles that held you back in the past. See, it's so awesome. It's so awesome. Before we start to reinvent ourselves, before we get to that place when we start to reinvent, it will seem like we can't. It will seem like it's too much to even try to do. But once you go through these stages, continue on and just continue to work on yourself, you will find that you begin to rise above the obstacles that have held you in the past. Most of those times, those obstacles were in our mind. They were the things that we said to ourselves, the things that we listened to. We are now re-emerging with a new sense of self, actively listening to our inner voice. We're embracing those new possibilities rather than being held back by them old beliefs and old patterns. And this signifies a transition like from the death or breakdown of the old self and emerging as the new. We're empowered now. We're empowered to do. We're not, there was a time I didn't know, I was told so much in life. You talk too fast, people don't understand what you're saying, and now I come and talk every week. That doesn't bother me anymore. I say what I need to say. I figure whoever needs to hear it will hear it. Anybody that can help, it'll help. And I'm not bound by those things. I'm not afraid to get up and say. I'm not afraid to do. If it fails, like I said yesterday, if I go to do something, I do it with my desire in my heart that this is what I should do. I don't manage the results. Don't let this stuff hold you back. We began to flow with life and listen to our inner voice for guidance rather than depend on past beliefs. We began to see life differently, and we feel a calling to pay it forward. That's what happens when you get to this place where you reinvent yourself. When you get to this place where you're empowered, there is a call to pay it forward. Your lessons, your learned lessons, you want to share with that wisdom with somebody else. You want to tell somebody else how they too. I share so much. Sometimes I think I get on people's nerves sometimes. And it's not because I did something so spectacular that you can't. I'm saying, look what I did because you can. Look where I am because you can be even better than that. That's why I share. Not because I care for you to know what I'm doing. No one is that important for us to do things just for them to see. Who cares? But it's so that you can do better. If I say I just got this massage thing, this leg massage thing, because as I had been trying to walk more, my knee was bothering me, and I got this leg massage thing from Amazon, and it is thebomb.com. I love it, and I was sharing it, and then it's like, oh, she got something new. She doing this. No, honey, it's so you may need one. It may help you, but if you want to take it that way, see, because of this new me, I can't allow those things in the past and the words that people would say in the past affect what I do. You don't want it. You don't want it. I'll see if anybody else may want one. But it's just a leg massage. When you get there, when you get to this resurrect, your desire to make a difference in the world begins to grow as you find ways to enlighten others with your insight. You're living in a higher state of awareness and a higher state of enlightenment. You're also overcoming barriers. This is what happens when you get there. You're overcoming. This stage involves actively confronting and moving past the challenges that previously hindered our growth and our progress. You have an inner guidance then. Individuals are beginning to trust their intuition and inner voice more readily. to navigate our decisions and action. We're not at a place now. Well, I was going to do it, but I don't know. And people are going to say what people say whatever they want to say, and I don't know. People are going to do it. It may not work. No, so what? And we have this positive transformation. It marks a shift toward becoming a more positive and empowered state of being, to us being more positive and having an empowered state of being, leaving behind those limited beliefs. Then we're going to talk about the last stage, which is this stage 6, which is respond. And we got a couple of comments. Elaine, you know I love you. Then Cora, good morning, love you. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, Mama Dorothy, thank you so much. I love you. She said good morning to me. But anyway, the last stage, is stage 6, which is this response stage. When we get to that transformation, the last stage is respond. The response stage refers to the point where we began to actively engage with the change process by asking, what can I do? That when you get there, what can I do? And we began to take concrete steps to contribute positively to our own development and to the development of other people in the world around us. It's the stage where we move from passively acknowledging the need for change to actively taking actions to implement it for ourselves and for others. We can talk about how much change is needed. We can talk about how bad things are. But when we get to this response stage in our life, we began to say, what can I do? Respond is the stage where we began asking, what can I do? How can I contribute to making a positive impact in my life and ultimately into the life of other people and the world? We can set a firm intention on becoming a better leader, a strong communicator. And, being an example, we can be a role model, especially our younger generation. Instead of talking about it, we get to a place where we want to help them. I remember a person I was talking to, and he was talking about these young people. Ooh, you all know that. Please don't come to me with a conversation about these young people. These young people, they don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. I said, have you ever tried to talk to one? I'm not saying nothing to them. Well, if you're not saying anything to help them, then you shouldn't. In my mind, you shouldn't be talking about them. If we're not, and it shows where we are. The scripture said that a tree is known by the fruit it bears. A person is known where they are in their transformation and in their life by the actions that they do, by the things they say. You don't even have to. We be sitting there thinking, if they come to church every Sunday, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in their everyday life when the doors of the church are locked. You will find out where a person is by their response. You will find out. You don't have to even be looking for it, but we will let you know by our response where we really are. Okay, so unlike earlier steps of contemplating denial, this stage signifies a commitment to actively participate in this transformation process. So now we've gotten to that point. People in this stage start to identify specific actions that they can take to contribute to the positive change in their lives. Not what somebody else could do if they would stop doing it, but what can I do? We take ownership. That's what we do. And we set our intentions. It involves setting clear goals and intentions. We're intentionally becoming better. We're intentionally spending the time doing the things that we want to do. We're intentionally doing it. And we're making it a part of our life. And we have this proactive behavior. When we're in this response stage, we're actively seeking opportunities to learn. We're trying to develop new skills. We're implementing changes in our behavior. So we are still growing. That's what it comes to when we go through these stages of transformation. And that's what it does for us. So as I said, as we go through these changes, through these different stages, remember, the stages are, first we want to realize where we are. We want to release that past. The things that is starting with the external things, we want to release them. Then we want to rebound. We want to take some time to get to a place of openness and a place of want to have that freedom where we can reinvent, where we can take on stuff. We want to get that space open mentally, physically, in every way that we need to. Those relationships that hurt us, those relationships that was good to us, whatever that is that we release, this gone now. What are we going to do now? This is how we get ready to reinvent. First we rebound, and that's that quiet time. That's that neutral stage you talked about. Don't get discouraged when you get there and you're still feeling the old. You're still connected to the emotions of the old. Don't hold that stuff against you. Then once you're past there, it's time to reinvent yourself and then resurrect yourself and then respond again to the new person who you are. Respond to the new person. I want to again thank every one of you for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate you all. I thank you for all your comments. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I don't think I did. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. We have our affirmations for 2025. Feel free to repeat them after me. And I will be back on Friday and Saturday, with Saturday's Word with Saturday mornings with Dr. Mama Rosie Thompson. And thank you, Mama Dorothy, for letting me share your last name. And Friday morning, I'll be back with Friday's Word with Dr. Rosie Thompson. And our affirmations, feel free to repeat after me. I welcome 2025 with an open heart and mind. I am worthy of achieving my goals this year. I prioritize my health and well-being in 2025. I attract opportunities that align with my goals. I let go of what no longer serves me. I embrace progress over perfection. I take small steps every day toward my dreams. I am becoming the best version of myself. And I am always a safe place for myself. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and be with me. I will be back next week. You all have a wonderful day and a great weekend. God bless you, and I will see you again next week. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.